Hi, welcome to Business Brains and the Bottom Line. My name's Paul D'Allegro, and my guest today, backed by popular demand, is Bobby Martini, author of Citizen Somerville, Growing Up with the Winter Hill Gang. How you doing, Bobby?
Good, Paulie. You're looking good, buddy.
Thanks.
New hat, looks great on
I got
you.
a new lid, yeah. You know.
Yeah, you look, a little, I like it.
Yeah, trying to do something different, Bobby, but
okay.
Well, hey, the last show we did was such a hit. A lot of people called me and said, "Hey, man, you got to have Martini on again. You guys left a lot of stories on the table." So,
without a doubt,
yeah, we, unbelievable. But so, I want to start by saying, something's changed since our last show, right? Howie Winter passed away. So, just to open it up, what are your thoughts on Howie? I mean, you knew him a long time. Any final thoughts on him?
Well, Howie was like a second father to me. When my father died in '93, and Howie got out of jail, and I see him every week. I talk to him every day. He'd always say, "Bobby, call me tomorrow." I go, "Okay, Howie, I will." And then his friend Bob G was dying, and I pick him up and take him there. Bob G was probably the biggest gambler in the United States at one time. I remember Howie telling me that him and Bob G pulled up to a bank in Watertown, and that's when the truck got there, right? And they get all the money out of the truck, give it to the president of the bank. The president of the bank will give it to Bob G because that's how much he bet that weekend.
Unbelievable.
It was unbelievable. But Howie's a legend in his day, and
he really is.
He he took care of the city. Him and Buddy McLean and Joe Mcdonald and Sal Spaligna, they were like icons of the city. They ran it, but they ran it with pride. You know what I mean? And then if anyone ever got in trouble, you go see them. You go see them before you see the cops.
Yeah. Everyone knew who they were. I mean, yeah.
So, but I miss them, and he had so many stories. I got a couple today that I can tell now. I can't say that he was involved, but you can,
wink. Yeah.
You can decide on yourself.
Yeah.
But before we start, I got a retraction because last time when Ibby Aylward saved us all at the Pointer Post, when he tackled the guy that wanted to kill us, I said he was 350 to 375. Well, he is pissed. He put out a hit on me. He put on a friggin' hit on me. Tell the right weight. So Ibby was 200 to 250. I'll give him that. But I still picked him up like he was like 30 pounds, So I just want to get that retraction out. And that's
all right.
it.
No, you got to do that, Bob. If we make a mistake, we gotta own up to it.
So we can start with like Buddy McLean. Buddy McLean started this whole thing after the war started. After they tried to bomb his car, we went over the other stuff last time, how we killed Bernie McLaughlin right in the square. But then he don't go away for that. He goes away for a gun in 1961. And in jail, he meets Tony Blue DiAgostino. And him, when he gets out, I think 63, he had to do a year or two, or a year and a half. Tony was in charge of putting the cars all over the city. And in the cars were guns, ammos, masks, anything you needed to do a crime. Tony Blue was in charge of going and getting that car, and you'd drive it to the scene, most of the time back then, it was to kill somebody. And the reason they were killing each other was just like the war. It was, and they said the Irish gang war, but it wasn't all Irish, it was Italian too. But those guys, after Buddy shot Bernie, had to go to apartments, had to stay by themselves, put the mattresses down, just like you see in The Godfather. They couldn't go near their wives. They couldn't go near their family because they didn't know what was next.
Yeah.
And they had a funny way of finding out who was on whose side, because back then, Charlestown, Somerville, Southie, they all worked as longshoremen. So it wasn't like it was Somerville against Charlestown. It was one faction, the McLaughlins, against the Winter Hill, Buddy, Joe Mcdonald, and Howie Winter. And Buddy and Joe McDonald were best friends growing up, and Joe was older. And Joe, I think, did a lot of the hits. I know of two he was involved in, but I don't know. I used to go to the fights with them, and he'd say, "Boy, I got a couple 100,000. Anything you do with it?" I go, "No, Joe."
The Winter Hill Gang was a group of organized crime figures, predominantly Irish and Italian descent, but the group was generally considered an Irish mob. The organization, it derived its name from the Winter Hill neighborhood of Somerville, Massachusetts, which is a suburb of Boston. The three founders of the Winter Hill Gang were Buddy McLean, Howie Winter, and Joe McDonald. And the group, was most influential, from the early mid-60s all the way to the late 70s, when at that point, Buddy McLean had been long gone and Howie went to prison. And that's when Whitey Bulger started coming into the mix. But to back up a little bit, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Irish gang wars of the 60s and what really transpired and how that originated. So that started in 1961 and lasted until 1967. And it was fought between the McLaughlin gang of Charlestown, led by Bernie McLaughlin, and the Winter Hill gang of Somerville, led by Buddy McLean. What started an incident at Salisbury Beach on Labor Day weekend 1961. While at a party, George McLaughlin made an advance on a girlfriend of a Winter Hill gang member. McLaughlin was subsequently beaten unconscious by the members of the Winter Hill gang and dumped outside the local hospital. Well, Bernie McLaughlin ended up going to see Buddy McLean and demanded that he hand over the members of the gang who beat his brother. Well, McLean refused, obviously, saying, hey, the beating that he got, it was well-deserved. And so the McLaughlins took this refusal as an insult, and they were hell-bent on revenge and decided that McLean would die first and made their move later that night. McLean was awoken late that night when his dog started barking, so obviously sensing trouble, he grabbed his gun, ran outside where he spotted two men by his family car. He shot at them, but they got away, and when he ended up searching his car, he found an explosive device wired to his ignition. So this is what took the problem from a conflict into an all-out war. Well, so Buddy knew at that point they needed to really put a group together to protect themselves. And although they had a group of guys that were bookmakers and things of that, really that was what formed the Winter Hill Gang. So in retaliation, McLean ended up killing McLaughlin outside a bar in Charlestown in 1961. And in 1965, McLean ended up being shot and killed by one of the survivors of the McLaughlin gang, Stevie Hughes. So at that point, Howie assumed control of the Winter Hill Gang. And one of the surviving McLaughlin brothers named Punchy, he was shot while waiting for a bus in West Roxbury. It's a section of Boston. And later in 1966, the two associates of the McLaughlin gang, brothers Connie and Stevie, were killed in retaliation for Buddy's murders. So by the time the war had finally ended, more than 60 men had been murdered. So what started out as a personal conflict between Buddy McLean and the McLaughlin brothers turned into a citywide gang war that raged throughout the 60s.
Good.
When did Joe McDonald pass away, Bobby?
Oh, a long time ago. I mean,
Yeah,
he went on the run. He went on the run in the 70s because his brother and him robbed the Sunnyhurst up in Stoneham, and then they got his brother, and Joe ended up escaping and getting away, and we ended up bringing money down to him in Florida. We didn't know it was for him. Me, Gary, and Howie, and Big Howie. 10,000 each pocket. And we already went over that though.
Yeah.
But Buddy by himself, Buddy McLean was probably the toughest guy in Boston in that era. He actually fought Joe DeAngelis. Joe DeAngelis beat Rocky Marciano in the amateurs.
Really?
And Buddy went one-on-one with him. And Buddy was in such great shape, running every day. And Howie used to tell me, if you have a fight and you think he's losing, and then 25 minutes later, the other guy's out of wind and he's still going strong. I remember one day I'm dragging him. I'm going, well, what the frig what's going on here? And he looks back. Buddy's still got the guy. Howie's dragging Buddy. Buddy's dragging the guy and banging him, right? And it was just like unbelievable. It was kill or be killed back then.
Yeah.
They used to have this system. It was called clocking. You would clock somebody. So that goes back to my story. Everyone was a longshoreman, truck driver, or whatever. So if you didn't know they were on your side, you'd follow them morning, noon, and night, 2 or 3 times. Most guys in those days in the 60s had a regiment. Same coffee shop, same girlfriend, same wife. Or did I say that backwards? Same wife. Same... Well, they had a regiment. So now Howie would go up to him, or Joe. When Joe McDonald went up to you, he was only 5'7", maybe 6. He had those shark eyes. And if he said something to you, you listened. And you never yelled at him. A guy yelled at him one day, and Joe goes, "I'll be right back." The guy got his hands and knees and actually said, "Joe, I didn't mean it." It was a big Italian guy, too. Because I didn't mean it, Joe. Please, don't do what you're going to do. Because he'd go out to his car, come in and blow your head off. Because he says, Whitey's a coward. He uses a gun from far away. I go right to the face. I tell him I'm going to kill him, and I kill him.
Yeah. Nice.
So when they clocked him, then they go up. Hold on, let me finish the clocking.
Yep.
Then they go to the guy, and they go, "Geez, you went here, you went there, you do this every day, boom, boom, boom. Whose side are you on? We just want to know." And that's how they would determine who was on their side.
Right.
And then they did it to one guy. The guy was so afraid, he packed up his wife and kids the next day, and no one knows where he moved. So that's what clocking was.
Yeah. Unbelievable. So no, I wanted to ask you, now that Howie's gone, I did get a few calls from people in between these shows. And, obviously when Howie was alive, you're limited to what you could say because, you made him out to be somewhat of an altar boy in the first one. But he couldn't
That's
have been
why
that.
I'm still alive. Okay, buddy.
Yeah, that's right.
How's that sound?
That's right. That's right.
I look good too, don't I?
Yeah, you're a handsome guy for an old bastard.
Bastard.
Well, so we talked a little bit, in between the shows here. There's a bunch of, once Buddy McLean went to prison, Howie and Joe McDonald took over, and you were telling me about the Hughes brothers up in that got whacked in the mid '60s. Talk about that one a little bit. What was that all about?
Well, when Buddy got killed in 1965, it was Connie and Stevie Hughes. They were in the Capitol Theater that was burnt out.
Yep.
One was in a car, one was out there with the shotgun. And that's when Rico Sacramonte and Tony Blue come out of the Pal Joey's, and they open up on them. And they hit Tony Blue here and Rico somewhere else. And Buddy'd still be alive today. I don't know, maybe. He reaches over to try to save his friends, and a slug hits him here. So after that, they took off. So now they go looking. I think they got him in 1966. So Howie gets a call that they just saw Stevie Hughes up on Middleton on 114. So they go running up. I don't know if it was Howie that was running up, but that's just telling me the story. But Joe McDonald was in the car. So they running up. They can't find him. They go, you know how long 114 is?
Yeah, I do.
They're going up and down. They go, frig it. It's over. Who's in front of them at a red light? Stevie Hughes. They pull around, and Stevie Hughes is with the lawyer. And the lawyer was told not to hang with Stevie, that he was going to get killed. He didn't listen. I forget his name, something bomb. And they pull around and they open up. They kill both of them, the lawyer and Stevie. Dead. That's the end of that one. Connie had a habit of going to Charlestown bar at like 4 or 5 in the morning. And Howie says, we knew that. So I don't know who we is. I think Joe McDonald's one of them. Waited till 4 in the morning. And there he comes up the Tobin Bridge. We pull beside him, whoever we is, and we open up. And they opened up, excuse me. And he's dead. So that was that.
So they avenged Buddy McLean's murder.
Yes. But let's go back to the who do you call it? Punchy. Okay? Punchy McLaughlin. So they killed Bernie, right? So now Buddy, Howie, Joe McDonald, 2 or 3 other guys are in Weston, Mass, up on a hill. And they see Punchy come around the corner. They all open up. Everyone's got a friggin' rifle, and Howie's got a gun. Someone told me that Howie might have been the one that blew his hand off. Okay. They get in the car. This isn't in the book. They get in the car and they chase him. He goes up 128 the wrong way.
Oh, God.
And they start to go. The nutbag, Joe's driving. And Joe McDonald, he, honest to God, his eyes were shots. Everyone was afraid of him. And someone in the car had enough common sense, could be the same guy that told me the story, said, don't go on 128 the wrong way. We'll get him another time. So that's that. Now, I'm bringing Howie to Brighton one day, right, to the hospital, Brigham and Women's. And he goes, see that parking lot over there? I go, yeah, that's where they put the car. I go, what car? The car when we found out that Punchy was in Brighton. We pulled up beside him with a sawed-off shotgun, 5 feet away from him, and blew both barrels at his face. Blew half his face off, and we take off, whoever we is. Punchy drives himself to the hospital. It saves his life. So now,
with half a face,
he had a half a face. Okay, so I forget which whatever order it went. That it didn't matter. So they end up taking his hand off. So now he's he's in West Roxbury over by the VA over there at a bus stop with one hand, a bag, and a gun. He's waiting for the bus to go to his brother Georgie's trial. Who Georgie didn't even go away from the Winter Hill gang. He didn't like this young clerk at a party, and the clerk said something to him. And Georgie just killed him. He went away for life for killing a clerk that didn't even involve anything with the battle. And he just got out. He's 91. He's got to be the same age as Howie. He got out of jail a little while ago. Conley got out of jail.
Right.
John Conley, the FBI agent. I think he's got cancer. I'm not sure. So,
but they let him. How did he? I mean, how did he get out? Even if he's got cancer, and that's not usually grounds for getting out, right? Most of the time.
I don't know. I don't know anything about that. You know, I kind of like after you watch Brian get shot, I kind of just, you know, because he's got some good family. You know what I mean? So I don't really want to talk about him.
Yeah,
but
no,
then,
I hear you.
But then in West Roxbury, did you see the picture I sent you from Life magazine?
I did.
That's February 24th, 1967. And they show a guy shooting Punchy at the bus stop, right?
Yeah.
What's the guy look like? The glasses. Well, if anyone can go back in history, let them look at that guy. So they go up to Punchy, and he's trying to get the gun out of his. He got one hand missing. He's trying to get the gun out, and they just kill him right there. So that was the end of the McLaughlins. And so another story, Howie told me, he's with Joe McDonald, and he's going up the Fellsway, and Joe's got a bomb. And Joe,
yeah, everyone carries bombs, right, Bobby?
let me tell you, it was normal back then.
It was. That's what's scary about it.
But he's got a bomb, and Howie goes, "What's that, Joe?" Joe goes, "It's a bomb. We'll go in the courthouse. Both Connie and Stevie Hughes are on trial in there. I'm going to walk in, put the bomb beside him, and kill him." And Joe had that kind of balls. He was on the #1 FBI most wanted list for how many years, right, Paul?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Whitey was #1, maybe. No, that was after. No, Joe was #1 in the 70s. They were looking for him everywhere.
Yeah, but what's his name? He wasn't till the 80s and 90s. So when he went on the lam.
Oh,
Whitey. What's that?
Whitey
yeah.
went on the lam in 95. So, and then Stevie Fleming and Stevie Fleming and Frank Slemmy were in my father's garage practicing to put the bomb in the car. Another bomb story. You know, they time it, put the thing in it because they wanted to kill the lawyer Fitzgerald for something he did. So they did it up in Route 1. They set the bomb up, and it only blew his leg off. Only. But
yeah.
So they got convicted of that. He ended up being a judge out west somewhere, but not before. He has lunch with Howie down Ray Grandy's pizza place on Winter Hill where all the Winter Hill guys used to store the guns in the cellar. And he's asking Howie questions about this and that. And Howie goes, gotta be a stool pigeon. He goes, I think I'm done with you.
I love this. You got to tell this story. Dorchester Dottie thing in the book. You explain it a little differently. You said she like goes to Howie crying, oh, my husband's missing. And then she straightened right up and goes, I need a finger. I just need a finger. She was all about the friggin' money. Go ahead.
Okay. So Dorchester Dottie, she was a very beautiful girl and she's married to Spike O'Toole. So this guy, Ron Dermody, loved her. He wanted her bad. So he made an arrangement with Georgie McLaughlin. If Georgie kills Spike O'Toole, Ron will kill Buddy McLean. So they made a deal. So Ron McDermott goes up to the Capitol Grill. We're Buddy and them. Buddy, there'd be a long row of seats. Buddy always sat at the end. But today, Charlie Robinson, who was a great handball player, was sitting right next to that seat because no one ever sat in Buddy's seat. And Dermody come in, starts shooting, misses everybody, and runs out. George never kills the other guy, right? Spike O'Toole. Later on they did. I'll tell you the story later. So Dermody, a couple of weeks later, is found dead. You just don't walk into the Winter Hill Gags, office, and then that's it. But she had friends on both sides of the fence, Spike O'Toole, I think, was with Winter Hill. And then Whitey ended up killing him and Stevie and a guy named O'Connor over in Dorchester because they wanted their book. All for the book, all for the money. Imagine killing two people. It's like me killing you for that hat. I mean, what the frig?
Yeah, no, it didn't take much for these guys, Bobby.
So Dottie calls up Buddy and his friend. Howie's telling me the story now, right? So Harold Hanna was a vicious killer, according to Howie. And the other kid was Wilfred Delaney. And he was just a young kid hanging with Hannon, had nothing to do with nothing. So Buddy breaks open the door. They beat Hannon to death. No, not to death. They beat him. And Dottie is gone. She said, oh, I have to just go to the store for a minute. So Buddy and whoever's in there with them, they make the kid take sleeping pills. And then Hannon wouldn't take them, so that Buddy beat him, knocked him out, and stuffed the sleeping pills down there. They wrapped Hannon in a rug, and they put the kid in a big box they found. The boxes when you went into ships,
the crates, yeah.
So luggage, the big luggage thing, they put them in there. So they're driving down the street, and the other guy says to Buddy, hey, you got a light out. Well, let's get this fixed. They got two bodies in the back, one in the rug, one in the box. They're sleeping on sleeping pills. So they pull over at the gas station. The guy fixes the light for them, right? You can't make this up.
You can't.
So they go to the fish yard. So Buddy had keys to every fish thing on the docks. And then where the lobsters would come in, there'd be big doors where you could drop things. So they give them a Sicilian necktie. They put the rope around here. They tie their hands behind their back and on their legs. So they did it to both of them, and they dumped them in the water, and they floated away. They said in the paper that Delaney died from drowning. The other guy just died. They must have choked him to death before, because he was
probably dead before they threw him in the water.
Yeah. So that was Dottie's husband, Spike O'Toole, that was killed by Whitey. And then Dottie ends up dating this guy, Davy Glennon. So him and another guy start clocking. You guys all know what clocking is, right?
Yeah, you've explained that. All right.
The Angelos. Because back in those days, all the mob bosses in New York were getting their kids kidnapped and ransomed, and they have to pay a ransom to get the kids back. So this guy who's dating Dottie, anyone that dated her wasn't doing too good.
Yeah.
So he and another guy are up on Angelo's wall. He has a house in the Nahant right in the water.
Yep.
And one fell out and broke his arm. So they tell somebody what they were doing. Well, needless to say, they weren't found anywhere. So Dottie, they got killed, but no one knows where. I think
Right.
that was an Italian thing. And so Dottie comes up to Howie and meets him and says, you know, Howie, even if I could just get a finger, one finger, just to show that he was my guy.
She wanted to collect the insurance money, right?
She wanted to collect the insurance money. She just needed one finger. I mean, that's like telling, you know, like Howie said to me, he goes, "What's I'm not gonna tell her? Even if I knew where the body was, I'm not gonna go get a finger. I didn't know where the body was. That
And
wasn't
so
us."
how would she explain how she got the finger?
I don't know. You tell me. You tell me. Gosh, just a
Tell you
doggy.
the logic how people think, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So go ahead. What else did we have?
So no, I another thing we forgot to mention, how he ended up getting stabbed.
Oh yeah.
That was a good story.
Yeah, Howie was in the North End. I think he was with Jimmy McLean, Buddy's kid. And something happened. Someone stuck him. It was a big to do. I mean, he lived.
Right.
And he had to go. No, he actually went home. And he saw his body raising to heaven. Not to heaven, but raising out of him. I don't know if he go to heaven. I don't know. Purgatory? I don't know. So he saw it. He actually saw it. And Brian Halloran was there. And he went and got a nurse that he knew, because you couldn't go say I got stabbed if you're Howie Winter, head of the Winter Hill Gang. They want to know who did it, where,
Right.
and then no one spoke back then. No one said a word. So Brian gets the nurse, and good thing he did. She stitches up Howie, she closes everything. And he was lucky to be alive. And then I had a fight down the projects one time. And my brother Eddie goes out to me, you know, someone's bad mouthing you down the projects. And I'm in my softball uniform. I go, who's bad mouthing me? You know, that's the stupid things we used to do. You know,
Yep.
Someone bad mouths you, go. So I fight the guy. Kids from Charlestown jump in. I think I knocked them both out, but they woke up and they stabbed my brother Leo. We were at Tommyhurst. We got Leo in the car. We're doing 100 miles an hour in a little car. We get him in there. They stitched him up. But it opened up in the middle of the night. He almost died. In the middle of it, I grabbed a knife and I grabbed it by the blade, and I took it and I went like this, and I went to stab him. And Jackie O'Keefe was a school teacher, but he knew the karate. He grabbed my hand. He took the knife away. He goes, threw it up in the roof. Not tonight, Bobby. But all those kids were on angel dust. I mean, I see my brother get stabbed. I hit him with a bat. It didn't move him.
Yeah. Angel dust was
bad.
bad stuff, Bob, back in the 70s.
You couldn't knock anybody out on angel dust. And then we're at a party in Charlestown. We're in Charlestown, me and young Howie Winter, and I'm with Joe, big hockey player. What's his name?
Joey Hughes.
No, Joey. The whole family of hockey players. Joe. Well, anyway, I'm standing there and we're watching the parade. Everything's going with young Howie. And some kid comes up to me and goes, "Hey, where you from?" I go, "Oh, Somerville." He goes, "Why don't you get the frig out of here? We don't like you Somerville guys." So he goes to hit me. I knock him out. He wakes up. He stabs young Howie. You can't. I go, "What? What the?" Every time I go have a fight, they wake up and stab people. So we get Howie to the hospital, and then go forward about 10, 12 years. I'm filming up in Maine in a cove, and this guy's there. And I'm with my good friend Quiddy Sullivan. Looked like Hoss Cartwright. He passed, but he was a great guy. And the kid's telling me about how he stabbed the kid from Somerville years ago. It was the kid I knocked out that stabbed Howie Winter, but everything was gone then. But if it was still going, that kid wouldn't have been alive for 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
The next 2 days, he would have been dead if it was back in the old days. But I just looked at Quiddy. He looked at me. What's the odds? And he's playing a gangster. And he had just fallen. His wife threw him and busted him open against the refrigerator. So I go, ultimate loser, just a loser. So go ahead. What
Unbelievable.
else you got, buddy?
No, so again, another story that I don't think we talked about this during the last episode is Brian Halloran and all the doing the heist of the diamonds from the Jewish guys.
Oh yeah.
That was an unbelievable story too.
Well, Brian, he approached me and he said, you want to do this? And I'm in that mode where I think I'm supposed to grow up to be a bookmaker and all that stuff. And thank God I didn't. But he says, yeah, we did it about 3 months ago, me and this kid, Willie. The Jewish people would come in from New York and have a belt of diamonds on. And they were the Hasidic Jews. So they didn't have no guns, no nothing. But if they ever found out who did it, the Jewish people, they have their own hit squad.
Yeah,
to come out and get you. But I didn't think that way. I'm 20-something years old. I'm a stupid bastard. So Brian goes, yeah, the last time I punched him in the face. We took the belt off of him. We jumped on the friggin' train and get out of there. It's easy. I go, really? So I go, all right, I'll try it. No guns. We didn't say, because they don't carry guns. But so I'm following him over to the airport to practice it. Of course, I got a gun, stupid me, and I'm on a motorcycle, and I go around the corner by the Edison, and it's the thing was wet. The metal, what is it? Well, anyways, I fall. 30 cars go by me. I'm laying there. I got a broken rib from the freaking gun. I'm like this. I go up to the airport. I go, Brian, did you see me fall? You're not too good a lookout. He goes, no, what happened? I go, huh. So we're partying in Somerville Ave, me, my friend Joe, who passed too, God bless him, and Brian. And then I wake up the next day, and Joe goes, I'm in Charles Street Jail. I go, what do you mean in Charles Street Jail? What'd you do? Well, you got to come in and see me. So I go in and see him. Brian took him. They cut the car off in the tunnel. What's it? The tunnel in Boston.
Sumner, Callahan
Tunnel. They cut him off before they went to East Boston. Joe runs out, but he's got a gun and sweatpants. Again, we shouldn't have had a gun. And then all of a sudden, feds pop out of behind the cab, and they put Joe down. So the kid runs out of there. Kid from Salty was driving, and Brian was nowhere to be found. So that was supposed to be me, but because I was drunk all night, he decided to take Joe, and I don't know why he took him, but he did. And Joe ended up doing 5 years for that,
Could have been you.
Yeah, but, I think God had better ideas for me, wanted me to do things better than that. I just got lucky,
Yeah. No, I mean, you were definitely in situations that could have turned ugly for you.
Well, my problem was I could fight a little, but, But what else? Oh, Sal Spaligna.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Sal.
Yeah, well, we're tying that into the angel dust because he got murdered by Butchie Moran.
Yes.
Who was all a local drug dealer and all, did a lot of angel dust. And
yeah, Sal went up to him. Sal had balls like this. I mean, can I say that?
Yeah, you can say that.
All right. Because the last time I said something, you cut it out.
Yeah, we had a, we had to clean it up a little bit. This is,
that's up there.
We want it to be somewhat, GP rated.
So Sal went and told this guy, do not sell any more stuff. Sal was like the protector. Howie was away. Howie was in jail, I think, for both the horse fixing and the pinball machines.
Yeah, and that was early 80s, correct? Because I remember when he got killed.
Yes, I was with Bobby Rascott in my cellar, and we got the word. We ran up there, but he told Butchie Moran, don't sell drugs here. So they had a card game going in a little local club in Balloon Square.
Butchie right on Medford Street there, right?
Yeah, he comes in, he goes to shoot Sal. The gun jams. Sal pushes the table up and runs out the back. There's no back door. There's two guys sitting there, two had guns, and they didn't do nothing. And that Butchie went around the corner, put one in his face and here, and he died. But Sal, so I remember being down Pal Joey's with Sal, and a lieutenant from Somerville was sitting there. He said something fresh to Sal. Sal got off his seat, slapped the lieutenant in the face, and said, "Don't ever talk to me that way." Sal was like the protector of the whole city. If you needed money, you saw Sal. If you he had a ton of money one day, then no money, because he's a professional gambler.
Right.
Like Howie was a professional gambler. All those guys were professional gamblers. I remember Sal used to hit us balls, me and Ricky Spoligna. So he hit us at Trump Field and catch him. And at the time, I was having fist fights all over the place. He goes, "Come here, kid. Let me tell you something. Say you hit me. You beat me up. All your friends are going to make fun of you because you beat up an old man. You look like shit. But say I get a couple of good shots in. I break your rib, your arm, all your teeth. They're going to say an old man beat you up. You're in a no-win situation. Never hit an old man." And I told that story probably 100,000 times because he was just a great guy. He did all the softball teams.
I remember that.
He was, he just, that whole family had a lot of, his daughter lost her daughter.
Yep.
And they just lost their two brothers. Because I used to spar with Ricky Spoligna, and he didn't know how to go late. And every day I have a bloody nose. The only kid, I fought Ruiz, the heavyweight champ, never got a bloody nose. I fought other guys, but Ricky didn't know how to bang and like, wow, that hurt. He was a tough kid though.
He was a year behind me in school. So I played.
Good.
No, I used to play baseball against him, Babe Ruth, stuff like that. I knew him, I knew him. I didn't say I knew him well, but I knew him for sure.
Well, he was in Raybrook with Howie, and he hit the bag an hour every day, and no one would mess with him. And Howie would be the nurse for when they played street hockey. So if somebody busted their lip, you'd have to go back to your cell. And Howie go, no, he's good, it's good. So Howie put tape on it, right? Get back in there. All the Charlestown and Somerville guys would go to Howie for all the stuff in jail. I mean, I told you about Russell Buffalino, right? Did I tell you that?
Yeah, it's funny, Bobby. The day that Sal got murdered, I was actually driving down Medford Street. I just got done. It was on Christmas break from college. I remember this.
Yeah.
And I just got done playing basketball. I think I was with one of the Garrity boys. I'm not sure. We're driving back to East Somerville, and there's all these ambulances and stuff outside of that. So I jokingly looked over to my friend and said, "I wonder who got killed today," just cracking a joke, not even thinking. Sure enough, you get home, you turn on the news, and you see Sal Spoligna got murdered.
Yeah. That something, that took a chunk out of Somerville, really. That when he died, a quarter of Somerville went with him because he was such a respected guy. I mean, we wouldn't have had Christmases if not for Sal. My father had 7 kids and no money, Yeah. And then, another story Howie was telling me is when he tried to get loans at banks when he got out of jail. And Santander Bank called him in and goes, "We don't want your money in here no more." He goes, "Why?" Well, an FBI agent just left the FBI and became on the board. Imagine saying you can't have your money here because they assumed you did all these things. And he tells me about, remember the White Tower?
Oh yeah, Broadway and McGrath Highway.
So that was after hours hamburgers at Somerville Charlestown always come there and had fist fights. They had so many fist fights there, they put a big tower with a blue light. And the cops, if they saw the light flashing, they knew there was fights and they would press a button. Because all the guys would fight there. I never went there. You ever go there?
I did. A funny story. My cousin Anthony used to hang there. And how across the street there was a Foss Park pool?
Oh, yeah.
So me and a buddy of mine go to the Foss Park pool. We're kids, 10, 11 years old. And we get jumped by like 10 guys as we're leaving the pool. Beat us up pretty good. So I finally get away. I go across the street, get my cousin Anthony. He comes back with all his boys.
No.
Then when they realized who my cousin was, he lined them up. There's like 10 of them. They lined them all up one by one and slapped every one of them.
Oh, yeah. He was tough.
Oh, he's a tough kid.
Him, Tony, friggin' we talked. What's the other one we talked about? Your other cousin.
Oh, Frankie and Tony.
Frankie. I get this. Hey, I could have been somebody. Sometimes I get a brain cramp.
You taking too many right hands, Bobby. It's okay. You know, we're in no hurry.
I should have looked for lefts better.
Yeah, I know.
So what else? What else do we got? I mean, there's a lot of good stories so far we did about the Winter Hill, right? What else
So-
was this?
Yeah, no. So I didn't know this wasn't in the book, but you were telling me that, you know, when you were a little bit worried about, you know, your personal health, you're saying that Bobby Raz built private, like hiding spots in your house for all the weapons. Tell us about that's pretty funny.
Oh, so I forgot all about that. So we're in Charlestown, me and Brian Halloran, and over under the Tobin Bridge was John Hurley's bar. It's not there no more. So there's about 50, 60 people there. It's 11 o'clock at night or something. A big brawl breaks out. Now, John Hurley was a big IRA guy. When my father got shot, he was the guy that drove with Brian and Billy Coyman when we went looking for when we're looking for those guys. But so a big fight starts. And in the middle of the fight, so some guy hits me, I hit him back. I go, "Who are you with?" He goes, "I'm with Hurley." I go, so am I. Don't hit me no more. I mean, you had to pick. You were hitting people. You know who they were. Now, there's a sense of like you don't know what's going to happen next. So I call Bobby Rascott up. I go, "You got to go to my house. In that secret compartment you put in there, there's a bag. You got to bring it to me." So he wouldn't. He's such a good kid. You know, he's a good.
Oh, I know.
You know, he gives everyone's mothers flowers. So he makes me sick. So, anyways, he brings the bag to me, middle of the night, under the bridge. There's like everyone's still lined up, ready to go again. And he goes, "What's in the bag?" I go, "Guns." He goes, "What? You had guns?" And I didn't look in the bag. It was heavy though. I go, "Just get out of here. Just get out of here." We never used them, but
yeah,
you know,
good.
you never know. I mean, I was in some bad situations where I thought I would have had it, and I'm glad I never had to use one.
Yeah,
You're not the same. I don't think you have to use one. You know.
Well, unless you're guys that just these guys that have no conscience at all. I mean, kill people, not a big deal. I mean, I don't know how you could be the same.
No.
Your life did change differently. We haven't talked about this. You became a cop. And what possessed you to become? And your brother Leo was a cop too, which, you know, coming from the life you came from to become a cop. What made you do that? What was
Leo was a great athlete. Everything else, he was like, you know, college, everything. And me, I was in the Marine Corps at 16. So I got 10% disability from the Marines when I get out. My father had a doctor. I would have got 30, but the doctor died. And so they said they're having a test up to high school. So I'll try it. You know, I'm lending money. I'm out in the streets. You know, I haven't worked in a while. And I go up to the high school, right? And I go like this, ready? A, B, B, A, B, 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 A, B. I looked at a couple of things. Everyone else is in there for 3 hours. 15 minutes later, about, I get a call. "You want to be a cop?" I go, "What?" "Yeah, you got a 69, but you get a veteran's preference." They would give you veteran's preference back then, or if your father died in action or your brother. That's what Gary Hodgkins, his father died and his brother died. He was a Lexington cop. He sat right across from me in the academy. So I said, "Sure." I says to my father, "What do you think?" He goes, "What are you, crazy?" So I gave everything up, you know, lending money, everything, and I just became a cop. But then a friend of mine asked me to cash a check one day. I went to college with, actually Filipino, the only guy to ever get in a Dante club and be Filipino and whatever. And he put the check was a bad check. So they caught it. They took my gun away. They brought me in. "Can you tell us any cops that are bad? Can you tell us anything about, you know, your life growing up before? And we'll make a deal." And I says, "You know something? I ain't making no deal. I cashed a stupid check. You want to fire me, you fire me." Well, not only did they fire me, they put me in jail for weekends for 6 months, really. I had Nancy Gertner. She's a federal judge. And I went into jail. I knew everybody there. Bobby! The guy that did my
It's like old home week.
Yeah, the guy did my fingerprints. He started crying. He goes, he used to he goes to my father's club. I go, cut it out. Don't worry about it. The warden was great, Flash. He goes, where you want to go? I mean, I never saw a handcuff. I never saw nothing. You know why? Because they trusted me. So every weekend, I go, I'll go here. He goes, I'm going to put you in the infirmary. So I go down to the infirmary, and there's a blonde-haired kid crying, saying, I don't want to go down there. This guy Tookie makes me do stuff I don't want to do. Well, Tookie supposedly abused kids, but that was never really, really proven. So I says to the nurse, can you call the warden for me? She goes, you know you're a prisoner, right? I go, yeah, would you just tell him it's Bobby Martini? So he calls me back. What's up? I go, get me the frig out of here now. You didn't tell me he was here. So I went over to dorm. But every weekend I come in with bags of food, and they'd have all the animals would be out. What do you got this weekend, Bobby? And then the warden calls me up one day. He goes, Bobby, I hear you. I guess you put vodka and oranges. I brought oranges in, but I didn't put vodka in. I gave my word. When you give your word, that's why I try to tell people, if you give your word, that's all you got in your life.
That's right.
Really. So he calls me up at home now. I'm his prisoner. He goes, you know, you got to stop putting the vodka in those oranges. Go, Flash, don't you ever insult me like that again. I won't bring oranges in. So I'd have tuna fish. And it cost me $100 a weekend. I go to jail. So I became friendly with this guy. I nicknamed him Spike. So upstairs, you're only supposed to have 4 in a room, but they put my bed in there too, 5. So I'd hear the guard at night. He goes, why is there 5 here? He goes, don't wake him up. Just take it easy. I know we're getting close. So I go in one day, and there's my friend Spike. He's got his hair spiked up. He's eating a tuna fish sandwich. I go upstairs. This guy Steve's up there. He's got 3 fingers missing, mixing the tuna fish. And we find out later he lost his fingers because he's a diddler.
Oh, God.
I run downstairs. I don't run, but I walk downstairs, and I'm sitting beside Spike. Now he's my prison guy. I go, I don't want to start trouble, but I just seen Steve mixing that tuna fish with his nubby friggin' fingers. He spit. He puked. He puked in front of me, threw the thing away. You're an asshole. Why didn't you tell me? I go, I did tell you. I went upstairs. I didn't know till I went upstairs. How did I know he's got the nubby fingers doing that? He didn't eat tuna fish. He didn't eat tuna fish for years. He became a deputy superintendent. He's got a big place. He's in Sotheby's real estate, killing it.
Yeah. So, hey, Bob, I got to ask you. So, there's another book that was written called The Legends of Winter Hill, a guy by the name of Jay Atkinson. And he had some not so nice things to say about you in his book, calling you a dirty cop. And you weren't a dirty cop. You know what I mean? I know it sounds crazy, but you were a good cop.
Yeah.
You did.
I helped a lot of people out.
Yeah. And so what's your response to him?
I called him. I says, Jay, what is there any way that you could have just asked me about all that stuff? Because it's all lies, you know? And he goes, because I liked him as a writer. I mean, I read, he did a book about Lawrence, all the mills and everything. And that was a good book. But this one was about Joe McCain.
Yep. So
Joe McCain said that to him, and he just put it in. He just went on hearsay in the book. I would have told him the real story. I didn't get along with Joe McCain, and he turned my brother Leo in. He was a sergeant. He turned Leo in one time, and I couldn't believe it. Who turns in a friend? You know what I mean? So that's the type of person I knew he was going to be like. And if it was, I really wanted to do something, but I didn't. You know?
No, I hear.
I mean, it wasn't worth it. And then, but everyone in my book, I have a videotape of. I interviewed 30 people hours long. I got 6-7 hours of Howie, Ellen, Sal's daughter, Anne Marie, and Bobby. Everyone. The book was this thick, you know. That when I self-published, I should have self-published the whole thing.
Anytime you write a book like this, Bob, you got to make damn sure that all your facts are straight.
Well, yeah.
Right. And you got to verify them. You can't just, make stuff up. Right.
Yeah. Like, I'm not saying that Howie was in any of those cars. Okay. But I got the direct story right from him.
Yeah.
So, and then it was so funny as he's telling the story, you know, that twinkle people get in their eye.
Yeah.
You know, when you're happy, like you're happy looking at me because, you know, that hat. So I just would look at him and I go, okay. Because, you know, he can't tell me. He knows he
Yeah, of
can't
course,
tell me.
yeah. But
If
he's
he
gone
tells
now,
me,
so
yeah, well, what am I going to say? Yeah, I think he did it. I'm not going to say that because I don't know. You know what I mean?
you're
I
just
wish
telling the facts.
I'm telling the stories he told me. Now, if he was there, he was there. I mean, you gotta be, you gotta. I mean, if I was the guest, I'd say he was there.
Yeah.
If I was the guest, but I don't know.
Well, we'll finish up on this, Bobby. I still say I can't believe they haven't made a movie, because you were in the movie business for a while too, by the way. We haven't even touched on that, but I still can't believe they haven't made a movie about the Irish gang wars of the 60s, 70s, and that whole. It's amazing to me. Like they made The Departed.
Yeah, they think The Departed was that. That wasn't even close.
It's not though.
And the other one wasn't Winter Hill. It was Whitey Bulger, the whole thing.
Right. So
talking to his mother, then he go out and strangle a girl to death. I mean, who does that?
Yeah. No,
and
crazy.
How he said about Whitey, I asked him a question one day. What was Whitey like? Because I didn't really know him. He goes, the devil sent Whitey to this earth to do what he did.
Yeah,
he was actually the devil's advocate.
Yeah, I don't. That's a fair estimation of him because he was a sick human being. There's no two ways around that one. And if he got what he deserved. I'm glad he got killed in prison. By the way, he deserved it.
Yeah, yeah. They hit him with they put batteries in socks.
Yeah,
in prison, and they just smash you. I guess someone told me they cut his tongue out for ratting and his eyes out. They popped his eyes out too. I don't know, but someone, you know, the word in the street you get, you know. I don't know who did it, but it was in the news, so look it up.
Well, cool.
So look at this. We did a whole hour, buddy.
Yeah, no, that was good. We still have probably a few more stories to go. Maybe we'll do a part 3, Bobby. You never know. But I
gotta look into the stories because I got I got tapes on my computer of Howie talking, you know, and you could put all the pictures on as we're talking, you know, pop a picture on like that. That's all the guys get killed. It looks like they were all 64, right? 66, 67.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're all young kids too. They're all 22, 23, 25. They're all young guys.
I'm glad you said that because I was thinking that Howie and Buddy, they were early 30s. They weren't friggin' 50, 40. Joe McDonald was probably the oldest at 40 or 39 or 40. I mean,
yeah, we remember them. They're older, so I remember those guys being old.
Yeah,
but they were young ones too, right? I mean,
they were in the 30s. Me and you were playing softball and basketball.
Yep.
And they were out shooting and hiding from friggin' getting killed.
What a way to live.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really look at the big picture, you're 30 years old and you're gunning for people to kill them. You can't make a living. Oh, let me put this in quick. When they had that gang wars, Sal was a bookmaker. So they couldn't make no money, Howie, Buddy, Joe. Sal made all the money for them. And you'd give it to him when he needed it. He was their backbone too. He was the backbone of Somerville. He was the backbone of the Winter Hill gang. He was just an ultimate hero of Somerville, even though he's only a bookmaker. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's just look at all the bookmakers now. You know, it's legal.
In closing, I'd like to thank Bobby Martini for being so generous with his time and his honesty, in which he shared so many of the stories that he either experienced firsthand or had heard from reliable sources. And as I mentioned earlier, I grew up in Somerville and was very familiar with the Winter Hill Gang, but what I always knew about these guys, if you kept your nose clean, you had nothing to fear. You know, they certainly weren't altar boys, also wouldn't bother anyone who minded their own business. The 60s and 70s were quite an era for the Winter Hill Gang. From the Irish gang wars of the 60s to the 70s where Howie went to prison, and at that point, Buddy McLean had passed, Sal Spillinger had gone, Joe McDonald was in jail at that point. But as of today, the final chapter of the Winter Hill Gang has been written with the passing of Howie Winter. We got some good stories, and like
You
I
got
said, who
some
knows?
verbatim stories from Howie.
You know what we
with
could
them.
do, Bobby? We could think about maybe doing all your recordings, do something on Howie and all the interviews that you had with him, tie that all together. We could probably do something around that too.
Maybe, yeah, we'll see. I gotta listen to
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear
Yeah.
you. So,
him.
well, hey,
I'll probably get a knock on the door later on today. FBI.
Yeah.
We want to know why you know this. Why I didn't know nothing. I said I assumed.
that's it. Okay, that's
Take
cool.
out Drake.
Fair enough. No, I hear you. So, all right. So, hey, that's a wrap for Business Brain and the Bottom Line. Signing off, Paul Delegro.